Hello again, it's me. Oh, I'm so sorry. The power went out. I have a couple of backup options. They don't work very well though when the power flickers. They flip over my internet to 5G, and if I'm on my desktop, it's not a good thing for my desktop. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I know that you had a meeting right after, but guess what? I'm flying out. I'm going to see you tomorrow, and so the nice thing is we'll be able to continue. And tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of fun because I'm going to go through the basics. We're going to solve your use case here. And tomorrow, we'll talk about some of the rogue use cases. Like, what if you had the person that was responsible for the offboarding? What if they found out they were going to be offboarded? And so they went in and decided they would offboard a bunch of people using this process. We probably want to solve for that kind of use case too. Great thing about n8n is that we've got things like delays. We can have all this flow going on, but we can say, once we get to this one step, let's wait 5 minutes. That could solve your problem there, because someone that would do something like that would want like instant action. But beyond that, wait 5 minutes and then maybe go through a secondary authorization to make sure that they really should be authenticated. You could have some things in there to look for particular email addresses to make sure. Anyway, there's many things. Those are the fun things we'll talk about tomorrow. In the meantime, the last thing that you said right before the call ended was you want it all, and that's what I'm going to show you. So we're back to our workflow. One of the requirements would be that you want the person that is going to administer or wants to offboard people. They're not necessarily the same person that you'd want in n8n. Although this is so much fun and it's so easy to use, you want to be able to have probably a few people in your organization that are building workflows. You've got our team. We've got great, the entire deal that we're working on with you. I think you're going to find lots of support. You've got the community, many things. But in general, you want to have a separation between this orchestration piece and someone that would need to use it. And then let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. And then the most important thing too is that you want limited access. So that person that gets to push the button, and it will be that simple, you want to be able to control that access. So we looked at your tool set, and I thought, man, you've got Slack as one of your tools. That's going to be great. It's going to meet a lot of our requirements. It's going to give us some control and reporting. So you think about a Slack channel. Come over here, I built this Slack channel, Acme Offboarding. It's got one member in it. Just happens to be me and, one human and my friendly Acme Offboarding bot. And of course, you'd want to have 1, 2, 3. You really want to lock this down. Private channel. No one even sees it as an option and they cannot access it. So it takes care of that requirement. There's quite a few other ways. There's directory structures and things we can do. But I wanted to be able to show you how we could solve this very quickly. And so think about the flow. HR finishes up and they give the okay. The person comes in here that has authorization, issues a simple command. And so you had a temporary employee that came and spent a month just helping you with everything in your company. He was amazing. He's going back to his original company, so we're going to go ahead and offboard him now. I'm going to go ahead and see how simple this could be. So it would be great if you could just type that and the whole process would, whoa, no way. Looks like something's happened. Looks like an offboarding completed. It says review access, email address. It said the Google user wasn't found. Makes sense. Maybe for this employee, they didn't have any kind of email access. But notice that it says to review this. And so this Slack message can be different. If everything offboarded correctly, this could say, I'll give you some examples up here. All complete, everything was completed. If there was an API issue, it could be a different message. It gives us the list of the tools and, a little tagline to just let you know that this was created by, the workflow that we're building. And let's talk a little bit about exactly what happens. And so triggered by that Slack message that is all locked down, I added a few blocks here. Like I want to just get the email from that message. And, in here I did a couple of other things too. If you take a look at some of the settings here, I want to make sure and grab the email address. And then the nice thing is JavaScript makes it so that anything that comes in, you can really make any updates you want. You think about things, I think about it left to right in a workflow. Data comes in, and then it goes out to one or multiple destinations. Then the next requirement would be you need to audit this and you need to report. And so we're going to have definitely auditing and then a piece of reporting. So I made it really simple here too. Didn't get too creative on the name. Offboarding requests. It's a sheet within a Google sheet. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. And so I was playing around with this earlier. So you can see the initial process is it gets a request ID that's unique. It gets the email address. The initial status would be queued and then the created at. And then as I was building out modules, you can see here, started with just an easy done command, and it gave all of the information here. But I felt like that message wasn't great because there was a failure, a user wasn't found, some of the APIs did or didn't do what we wanted them to do. So I was able to really customize everything. We can see here, started customizing it. Nice thing about this, offboarding request, audit. When the request starts, it marks everything all the way up to the point where it says queued. And then at the end, it gives the results, single row. It remembers the row based on the identifier there, updates it, all done for you to have a full audit. So here at the end, we notice that we've got, we said you said goodbye to this one great employee, and we've got a review here, and it says again, Google user wasn't found. Again, you can, now that you're in a sheet, you can take this information and do many things with it. But we're not done in terms of, this isn't reporting, this is just the auditing piece. Really simple. As things are happening, you can see them happen here. And so let's go back up to the flow, and we'll talk a little bit about exactly what's going on with the next pieces. The other thing you said, you want this to be dynamic. We know that new tools are added to an organization. Sometimes some are taken away at any given time. Many ways to handle that. Tomorrow, when I meet with you, we're going to build an n8n onboarding flow that will help us keep track of all the tools that people may have access to. We could use that as an input, the documents that or the output products that come from that. However, I was thinking about the scenario where, man, there's times when I've had people say to me, I know you're admin, can you give me quick access? And they have access and it's not necessarily on a list. We wouldn't want that to be the use case, but we know it happens. So we've designed this, or I've designed this flow so that the flow takes care of it. It's going to call out to the APIs. It's going to give us back a result of, yes, they were removed. They don't exist, which could be the case where not every person is going to have every tool. And then the final one would be that there was an error with the API. And so we can structure this any way that you want. And so we'll think about this a little bit further. What you're going to want to do is you're going to have, I did this explode tools. Let's just take a look at that. I'll show you, like, from the execution that we just had. That's the great thing. We get to see everything here that we just sent that message in to do the offboarding. And so I'm going to come in here and look at what happens really in the explode tools. It's more of a placeholder. And so if I come in and bring this up, and we'll see, here are the tools on the left. They went out the right the same way. I could have used some JavaScript here to say, for the certain tools that meet requirements, so I could do some hard coding here that says anything that's like Google or some of these really top level tools, I always want them to be added to a list of always run the API. You could group things together. There's so many things you can do here. I just set it up to show you that you can take the information on the left, you could group it, you could do other things, and so that you can format for the right. But again, we want this system to help us with all the possible options. And so the next piece would be, you would typically want to go out and send an API request to each one of the providers. Wouldn't it be great if all of those APIs were exactly the same? It would solve so many problems, but they're not. And for some reason, some of them are like more difficult than others. Some of them have, a post versus a get. We can help you with all of the processing you would need to be able to, send the right message to the API. But what you typically do, I have this example here. If I open this up, this is going to be a post. It's going to have some type of authorization, probably a key like email address. And so for the demo though, I wanted to show you how I could code this all into one simple module. And so for the demo, here's the information on the left. I can do a one not found. That was the use case where, the good John, who we just offboarded, didn't have Google. And so I just made the scenario so that would give us that. So we take a look at the right, looks like the user wasn't found. I could set this up so they're all okay. This is all related to the status, the return status from those APIs. So many ways to do this. For the demo, I wanted to make it pretty simple. I can go in here and change them, and it will change the output to the right. I have all okay, mixed, one not found for different scenarios. We'll walk through some more of those when we meet in person tomorrow. The goal, though, is to show you how simple it is to be able to control things at this level. And then that simulation represents the requirement of being able to go out to each API and get response and do something with that. And then validate the response. And so, again, these are just modules that I've added to show you that from here, we can take all the components on the left, and then we can start doing things to format it so that we can use it for our outbound products. So I put some really simple code in here. Again, you don't even have to have this code, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is to customize. It's really letting me start to set up like the messaging that I want to send downstream. And so you can see I've got a really nice list. I've got an MD file for, basically a markdown file, a summary that I can use, the full results, finished timestamp, all of that. And so these coding modules allow you to go through and do some extra things. I've thrown a few in here we'll review tomorrow. So you think about this flow. I've got this appended information to the worksheet. That worksheet doesn't need these other items. It needs to then, at the end, when this happens, we need to go to the worksheet again, which is here. So what I've done is I've added this really nice merge. I'm basically saying, here's all the results of the tools. Here's the information from the offboarding sheet that would include the email address and everything related to the audit. Merge that information in together and then prepare it to send outbound. Again, another place where I can go in and code exactly how I want. I showed you a lot of code modules just because they're so easy to add. I could have not had 4 of these, just had the API requests, but there's so much flexibility here. And so I'll show you how easy this even was to set up. If I come in here and I basically am saying, I want the information that came in about the the employee, and then from there, I also want the exploded tool list. I want to know all the tool list. And in this case, though, I really want to know the results. And so here are the results. And so I can combine things so that we get to the part where we get to report, and we want to have multiple output products. Coding is a great way to do that, but most of the time, I'm typically just using the standard connectors. And so then prepare for outbound is the last piece. And then what we want to be able to do next, let me come out of this mode and show you. We have this complete, and then we want to be able to send a report to Slack. We've seen that. We also want to update the offboarding sheet. We've seen that. And then you said you also have a requirement to do reporting. One to many ways to do this, so many options, so many ways to be able to do it outbound. But I figured send it in an email message, and from there you can create reports and make sure this gets to the right person. We can even automate the workflow of once an email is received. I'm going to show you an example. Let's go ahead and take a look at our inbox here. If I come out, and I think it's here, yeah. All right, and so here's the inbox. I just use my own personal email, but you can see the review complete. It says review access list. This would say all completed, everything worked. This would say API issue if something had failed. This says review because everything was satisfactory, meaning that we didn't get an error, but you probably want someone to take a look at this to see, oh, why didn't they have Google access? It's going to give you the tools, the status, the HTTP request response, the URL, exactly what API was used. You can format this any way that you want. And so, I think that was a really nice way to be able to generate. And so you notice this is a really nice format. It's all in HTML because, again, you mentioned that you wanted to be able to do reporting. And so let's take a look at all the different things we have here. Markdown report. I've got it ready for Slack. Creating HTML. This is going to be for the email address, but you could post this to anything that follows the same type of HTML markup. That's the nice thing. Really simple, easy way to be able to handle that. And so now I'll take a short pause just to say, you know, man, I wish we were on the call together now. What do you think? I just think I think it's so cool. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but the idea, you have a use case. You know, it has a lot of moving parts. You want some control. You want to be able to connect to existing things that you already have in your stack. Our solution is there for you. And so I'll talk a little bit about, because tomorrow we'll go over this in detail, but what else could I do? Well, I've got this great report. It would be a shame to only send it to 3 places. I can come in here and, you know, we can come in and take a look at, so you can say, what do you want to be able to do next? And so there's flow, you can manipulate the data, you can send it, like all the apps that you can think of, right? And so more than anything, Airtable's a really popular one. The idea would be something that happens, which is a trigger on the left, the flow, the automation, and then the outbound, all as easy as clicking on a plus and adding to the flow. The other thing, I'll just go ahead and walk through like one more thing that I really appreciate about all of this. And so for your builders, when you're working through this and you send data and you look at these executions, not all of these executions when I was building this, it actually will show you where the error is and where you have a problem. And so I hooked up like a Google Doc and I didn't have the credentials set up. I don't just send the data in and it doesn't work. I can follow the payload. I can see every element. And then when I run into a problem, I can actually go in and see, oh, that's what's on the left. Oh, it looks like it was a credential problem. And so it looks like I was using a service account. It makes the setup so simple. Because, you know, if you think about what if I just built all this my own just with APIs, but the piece, the visibility piece, having this all together, that is what makes it so amazing. And so I timed how long it took me to put the entire demo together. And you can see here I was making some adjustments, but it was a matter of hours to get the entire flow. And then I just went in and made a few adjustments. And once the system is set up, this can work for you and your team for, you know, a lifetime. You can always go in and update modules and all of that. And so I'm going to wrap it up here because, again, everything about this, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But once again, I'm going to come in and show you from this screen. If I take a look at the editor, this is my flow. I'm going to make it so you can easily see this. The nice thing is if you want to organize this, you can come in and move the modules around. At any given time, if you want to add something, add a plus, you can add something in the middle of this flow. You can delete the connectors here. So easy to use. So anyway, let's just wrap things up. I'm going to jump back out to our document. And so I think we covered everything. You know, tomorrow we'll take it even a step further, but we've got compliance reporting. We've got multiple ways to do reporting. We've got a really nice HTML report done. We've got audit in a spreadsheet, notification to Slack. You can do email. You could do text messaging. We've got all of those connectors that you can imagine. And more than anything, we are excited to be working with you. I cannot tell you how perfect I feel this fit is for you. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye.